Have you ever looked at the starry sky and wondered how real everything you see is? Maybe you've felt small, almost insignificant amidst that vast immensity. Now, imagine for a moment that everything we know, the universe, the stars, even ourselves, is nothing more than an illusion, a simulation created by a much more advanced civilization. This idea, which seems straight out of a science fiction movie like The Matrix, is no longer just fantasy. Serious scientists and thinkers, like the philosopher Nick Bostrom and public figures like Elon Musk, have openly debated the possibility that we live in a simulation. According to Bostrom, if an advanced civilization is capable of creating simulations so detailed that they are indistinguishable from reality, then it is likely that we are inside one. Musk, for his part, has expressed that the probability that our reality is the only true one is 1 in billions. It is important to clarify that we are not claiming anything here. What we present is a scientific and philosophical debate that has captured the attention of the academic community. The simulation theory is still just a hypothesis. And although there is no definitive proof yet, the truth is that it raises fascinating questions about the nature of the universe. Throughout this video, we are going to explore several surprising aspects related to the simulation theory. First, we will see how quantum physics seems to offer clues as to whether or not the universe is a digital construct. We will also discuss the intriguing idea that the constants of the universe could be finely tuned to allow for life, as if someone had programmed them to make everything work. In addition, we will talk about phenomena such as quantum fluctuations and the fact that the universe, like a video game, could be pixelated. Imagine that reality is made up of subatomic pixels, as if we were characters in an ultra-high-resolution video game. But that's not all. We will delve into the question of whether artificial intelligence could be the key to unraveling these mysteries, or even if one day we could find the programmers behind it all. So put on your sunglasses, Matrix style, and join us on this journey that could change the way you see the universe and your place in it. Don't go away, because what comes next could challenge everything you thought you knew about reality. Can you imagine that everything you see around you is not real? Don't worry, we're not talking about ghosts, but something even crazier. That our universe is a simulation. I know, it sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, but it turns out that some scientists are taking it seriously. One of the first to propose this theory was Nick Bostrom, a philosopher at the University of Oxford, who in 2003 left us all thinking with his question, what if a civilization much more advanced than ours could create simulated universes? The most amazing thing is that according to him, the odds of us living in real reality are very small. In other words, we could be inside a simulation right now. But he is not alone in this. Elon Musk has also said that the odds of us being in a simulation are very high. And of course, if Elon says so, then many people start paying attention. Although, there is still no proof. What there are some curious theories. For example, in the world of quantum physics, the smallest particles don't behave as you would expect. Sometimes it seems like they decide where to be only when someone is looking at them. It's as if the universe is saving energy until you look. Does that sound like a video game to you? And if all this seems strange to you, wait. In the next chapter, we are going to talk about something even stranger. What if our universe was made of tiny blocks, like the pixels on your computer screen? Stay tuned to find out if reality is more like a video game than you thought. Have you ever thought that maybe all this you see around you is a giant video game? No, we are not talking about The Matrix, but a rather serious scientific theory that will surprise you. In 2003, the Swedish philosopher Nick Bostrom launched an idea that would completely change the way we see reality. According to his theory, if a sufficiently advanced civilization could create simulations that perfectly mimic a universe, it is very likely that we are living in one of them. He explains it like this. If technological advances allow us to create hyper-realistic simulations, like our video games but on steroids, what assures us that our reality is not one of those simulations? Bostrom's logic is that if a civilization has reached that level, there are probably many more simulations than realities. It's like having 100 games and only one of them being the original. The odds of us being in that single original are very, very low. But here comes the interesting part. If we live in a simulation, can we find proof of it? Quantum physics might have something to say, and you won't want to miss it. Okay, You've probably heard the expression, everything in the universe is connected. But what if I told you that maybe we are connected by tiny blocks like the pixels on a screen? Yes, like in Minecraft, but on a cosmic level. One of the craziest, but also most fascinating theories is that the universe could be made up of tiny minimum units, like pixels. The idea is that everything we see and touch, even time and space, is made up of these particles so small that we can't even see them. Scientists call this quantum foam, and in it, space-time may not be as continuous and smooth as we think, but rather pixelated. Imagine that our universe has a maximum resolution, like a video game that can't have more graphics because your computer would explode. Well, something like this could happen with the universe, and those cosmic pixels would be the limit of what we can observe and measure. And if all this pixel stuff has already left you speechless, wait until you see what's coming in the next chapter. What if it turns out that the Big Bang itself was part of a program's code? Get ready to find out in the next episode. Can you imagine if, instead of a great cosmic explosion, the Big Bang was more like a click-on-run program? It sounds crazy, but some scientists are taking it seriously. We've always been told that the Big Bang was the beginning of everything. Space, time, matter, the whole package. But what if we told you that some believe that this event could have simply been the start of a simulation? Something like when you turn on your console and the game starts loading. The idea is that the Big Bang could have been the start time of an incredibly advanced program created by a civilization far more evolved than our own. Imagine the programmers sitting there watching as their code gives rise to galaxies, stars, and even us humans. The truth is that there are aspects of the Big Bang that remain a great mystery to scientists, and some wonder if we are not facing an intentional design. But it gets even more interesting. If this is all part of a program, will it be possible that one day we can find a bug or error in the system? Or what if we've already done it and haven't noticed? Find out in the next chapter. Have you ever felt that something in life just doesn't add up, like a little programming error? Maybe it is. If we really do live in a simulation, it stands to reason that, like any program, it could have errors. What if some of the strange phenomena we observe in the universe, like black holes or quantum fluctuations, are simply bugs or glitches in the code? Scientists have discovered anomalies in the cosmic microwave background radiation, the echo of the Big Bang that fills the entire universe. Some think these anomalies could be signs that something is not quite right with our base code. Other theorists even wonder if those glitches could be evidence that we are near the limits of this simulation. And if bugs already seem weird to you, wait until you hear about quantum particles that don't seem to follow any logical law. We'll see that in the next chapter. Can you imagine the universe being like a retro video game, full of tiny pixels? Well, some scientists think reality might work in a similar way. Hello, Cosmic Minecraft. Scientists have proposed that our universe could be made up of tiny pixels of space and time called quanta. These would be the smallest, indivisible units that make up everything we know. If so, the universe would not be a smooth continuum, but rather a high-resolution digital image. Each pixel would be a small portion of space-time that only renders when we observe it, like a video game that only loads the parts of the map we are looking at. And who knows, maybe behind those pixels, the true source code of our reality is hidden. But if the idea of a pixelated universe has intrigued you, wait until you discover how dark energy, that mysterious force that pushes the universe to expand, could be hiding even more secrets. Don't miss the next chapter. Remember those old radios that sometimes tuned into static? Well, the universe also has its own white noise. And no, it's not because it's looking for a signal. It's an incredibly old echo from the Big Bang. After the great explosion that created the universe, known as the Big Bang, there was residual radiation that we can detect today. This echo, called the cosmic microwave background radiation, is like the crumbs left over from a great cosmic party. The funny thing is that some scientists have found small anomalies in this echo, small irregularities that shouldn't be there, as if they were errors in the code of the universe. Some theorists suggest that these glitches could be indications that our universe is not as natural as we think. Maybe they are clues that we are living in a simulation. If the anomalies in the echo of the Big Bang seem intriguing to you, wait until you discover how we might get to know the creators of this supposed simulation. Don't miss the next chapter. What if I told you that we could be observing the reflections of a cosmic great mind behind the creation of the universe. No, we're not talking about a cosmic wizard, but the possibility of finding proof of the programmers of the universe. Imagine one day we find a way to communicate with the creators of the simulation. It would be like meeting the developers of a video game and asking them why they designed certain parts of the world in a specific way. Some theorists suggest that if our universe is simulated, there may be ways to find out who created it. How? Well, some think that the very laws of physics could be programmed. From the speed of light to the forces that keep galaxies in balance, everything could be part of a design by a much more advanced civilization. The question is, how would we detect these architects? Can you imagine an encounter with the beings who built everything we know? If you think this is fascinating, don't miss the next chapter, where we discuss whether we could really have freedom in a programmed universe or if we're just following a script. Have you ever wondered if you are really in control of your life, or if everything is predestined, like in a video game where the character only follows the player's commands? Well, hold on tight because this gets more philosophical than it seems. In simulation theory, there is a big question that affects us directly. If we live in a programmed reality, are we really free? That is, if everything follows a code already written, are our decisions ours, or are we simply following a pre-established script? Some scientists and philosophers say that in a simulation, we could have something akin to what programmers call limited freedom. In simple terms, it means that you can choose what to do within certain rules. Like in a video game, you can go one way or another, but in the end, the options are programmed. The question is, does this make us less free, or does it simply give us a different kind of freedom? So, are we puppets of fate, or do we have some spark of freedom? If you want to know more, in the next chapter, we will explore what value our reality has, programmed or not, and if everything we do has a real purpose. Imagine for a moment that you discover that everything you know, what you feel and experience, is part of a simulation. Would that make your life meaningless? Would it change the value of your experiences, your relationships, or even your goals? Many philosophers and scientists have debated this question, wondering if what we perceive as reality has to be natural to be meaningful. After all, reality, as we understand it, is shaped by our perceptions, by how we interact with the world, be it a physical or simulated world. Think about what it really means to live. For most of us, what matters is not whether the universe is created by a more advanced civilization or by a natural phenomenon. What really matters is the love we feel, the connections we make, the ideas we share. These experiences, even if originating in a code or an artificial design, are still deeply real to us. Some philosophers argue that even if the universe were a simulation, our experiences would still be valid. Morality, art, creativity, and even suffering would still make sense, because they are part of our human experience. What is real is what we feel, what we live, not its origin. So the crucial question is not whether we are in a simulation, but how we choose to live within it. Because at the end of the day, simulation or not, what defines our existence is how we live it and the meaning we give it. If we live in a simulation, does that change our moral obligations? Should we act differently if our lives and decisions are determined by a code? This dilemma has fascinated philosophers and scientists alike. If we are simply programs, lines of code executing commands, can a simulation generate a true sense of ethics? In a synthetic world, the actions we perform would still have consequences, at least within the context of the simulation. Lying, stealing, loving, or suffering would still be real experiences for those who live them, even if their origin is artificial. However, others argue that if everything is predetermined, if we have no real control over our decisions, then morality becomes meaningless. After all, how can anyone be held accountable if their actions are written in a script they cannot change? But there are those who argue that even in a programmed universe, the fact that we live conscious experiences, that we can feel emotions, make decisions, and face dilemmas, gives meaning to our actions. The simulation, if it exists, cannot detract from the human experience. In fact, it could be that the simulation is designed so that those decisions, those moral dilemmas, are the true purpose of our existence. If we ever discovered that our reality is, in effect, a simulation, how would that change our view of the universe? Would it be a devastating revelation, or on the contrary, a door to new horizons of knowledge? For centuries, humanity has sought answers to the most fundamental questions. Who are we? Why are we here? And if the simulation theory were true, it could mean that the answers are not in traditional science, but in the nature of the code that governs the cosmos. Humanity's next great challenge would not be to explore the stars, but to understand the very structure of the reality we inhabit. Some might see this revelation as confirmation of an uncomfortable truth, that our lives are nothing more than lines of code in a complex simulation. Others, however, could embrace this idea, seeing in it the possibility of transcending, of understanding the limits of the universe, and perhaps one day finding a way to communicate with the architects of this simulation. Are we prepared to face the ultimate truth, even if that truth challenges everything we think we know about the universe and our place in it? As we have already said, this video exposes a philosophical debate that is still a topic of discussion in the scientific and philosophical community. We do not intend to sell any ideas or convince anyone of anything. What we are looking for is to awaken your curiosity, to invite you to question yourself and ask yourself new questions. The intention is not to offer definitive answers, but to help you think beyond what we take for granted. If you liked this journey through the simulated universe theory and want to continue exploring the great mysteries of the cosmos, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your thoughts or ideas for future videos. We want to know, what do you think about the possibility that we live in a simulation? What other topics would you like us to address? See you in the next video, where we will continue to open new doors to knowledge.